All right, first off, welcome to I guess your first official interview on EMASS Sports. So for those unfamiliar with your story, how did you get started with the Boston Metro Baseball League or just Boston baseball in general? Because I know you're involved in a couple different leagues, and what's been your biggest motivation to keep playing?
Yeah, well, first let me just say thank you, Whitney, for having me on. Thank you to EMASS Sports for covering our league and baseball across Greater Boston. Really makes it fun for everybody. So appreciate it. Appreciate you having me on. So I've been playing ball here since 2018 when I moved to Boston from Cincinnati. I used to play in the Cincinnati League, played high school ball in Cleveland and some college ball at Miami University in Oxford, Ohio. Um, Now I am actually coaching a team in the Boston Baseball Association, which is a new league this year, which is called the Mill City Angels. And that team has been a lot of fun. We've had a good start to the year. We're at 8-3. And then the Lowell Angels in the BMBL are 8-2. So it's been a great year for the organization. This year we expanded. So I'm kind of coaching the farm system, so to speak, and we actually do trade players back and forth to keep the roster strong and to make sure that everybody's getting playing time because that's such a key thing for a men's league baseball team is everybody to stay involved, everybody to continue to get reps, continue to build confidence. So it's been tremendous to be able to add to the organization this year with Mark Sobolski. He is the general manager. I've known Mark for a long time. The motto is play with heart. Everybody lives and dies by that. Um, you know, I used to play with Mark on the Lowell Mustangs. Actually, they're called the Mill City Mustangs up in Lowell. Um, Got to know a lot of the guys. I think the cool thing, really, that people should understand about the Lowell Angels and the Mill City Angels is, it really is a family of Mark Sobolski and the Lowell community. Really, a lot of the guys that are on our team, they played ball at Lowell High School, right? And so now here they are, kind of in the big leagues, fully developed, and just coming and bringing it every day. So it's been awesome to be just in the dugout with the guys. It's been a great year so far. We obviously had tremendous run to the end of the season last year, won the championship. That was a huge accomplishment because I think the BNBL is probably one of the best leagues, if not the best league in Greater Boston. And Greater Boston is just a huge place for baseball.
You guys went and won the 20 plus championship, with obviously Brock Riley being a big part of that, winning championship series MVP. So, what's your favorite memory from that time? I mean, I think maybe one of the obvious answers might be, winning the entire thing or maybe the final out. But in your own words, what is your favorite memory from that run?
Man, well, what a run it was. It was absolutely the best baseball I've watched and been a part of. It's hard to zone in on one play, but some of the double plays that were turned were absolutely incredible. It was like a big league baseball. My buddy Bosworth, he actually made an incredible catch against the Senators. It was, I believe, the last inning, and they had a guy on second base, and it was a one-run game, and they cracked. I mean, just really drove a ball to deep right field. I looked at it and I was like, well, there's no way he's catching that, and he's sprinting back and he reaches up and he probably dove. I don't know, but he caught the ball and it was a huge out. And I'd say that gave us the win, and that was really cool to see. I mean, in the playoffs, um, we played some really great teams between the Senators, the Bombers, and then the Spinners. I think the Bombers, you have to tip your cap and say, they've been one of the best, probably the best franchise in the BMBL in modern times. And so to be able to compete against those guys was really a special thing, and come away with actually a clean sweep of all the teams in the league. That was just tremendous. Well, we dropped one to the Senators. They played us in a good game. think we beat ourselves a little bit. It was unfortunately some things happened in the field, and that happens. That's baseball. And then we had dropped the opening game to the Spinners, who just kind of came at us with a target on our backs. But the second time around, we took care of business against the Spinners, which was great. Very very good ball club over there. Always good to compete against those guys. And then the Senators, it's the same thing. We know that they're going to come and give us their A game, but at any given time, if our lineup clicks and our pitching, does what it does, we have a chance to win every night.
I mean, it also helps having kind of a three-headed monster, it seems like, with Nick Godfrey, Xavier Nunez, Brock Riley, all at contributing not only, especially Nick and Brock, both on the mound and in the field as well, or at bat as well, being top three in hits, runs scored in your lineup. So talk about what they bring to the table and how important they are to your team. Both in the field, at the plate, and on the mound for all three of them, or some combination of all three of them.
Yeah, I mean, to have Brock on the mound, he's just so much fun to watch. He can gear it up. But then he'll throw a slider in the same spot and tunnel the pitches, and very tough to beat. I think he's going to continue to have a very big year on the mound as well as at the plate. He's batting something ridiculous right now. I think Godfroy is, if people don't know this, I mean, he really was headed to the big leagues as a pitcher. Believe he had some arm issues. A common story that you hear in men's leagues, but he's developed into this incredible baseball player. I mean, incredible outfielder, um, great hitter. He's very fast. The man is a Marine. I mean, you're playing alongside a Marine, and then by the way, he'll go and give you 7 shutout innings in the playoffs. So you got 7 shutout from him. You could get 7 shutout from Brock, and then you could get 7 shutout from Johnny McDonald, who is an incredible pitcher as well as an incredible player, a true two-way player, heart and soul of the team. And then X, is just, um, I mean, he is just a bad man when he's stepping into the box. And also, he's one of the best fielding, infielders that I've ever seen. Him, Johnny up the middle, Dano, the outfield is great. Ben behind the dish all the time. Bila, I mean everybody on the team. It's just a true team. It's great to be together and play together. We always have fun no matter what.
Yeah, and I mean, I was just about to also say that you're one of three players on the team that also has hit a home run as well. I think Brock Riley's on that list as well. But
Yes.
the home run that you did hit, I don't know how much you remember it, but can you kind of walk me through? I hope we have a clip of it. If we don't, great. But regardless, can you describe what that at bat was like and what you remember about it?
I actually don't remember that. So next question. No. Um, yeah, no, it was cool. It was fun. I wasn't going up trying to hit a home run, but sometimes, when you get it on the barrel, and your swing is through the ball, good things happen, and it's always fun to hit a home run, especially when you can hit it over the fence. Not all of our fields have fences. I've probably hit more home runs than that if there were fences, but no, not trying to toot my own horn, but everybody smiles when you hit a home run for sure.
I was gonna say with how rare I think I've only seen one home run in person, so I don't know if home runs just don't like me particularly whenever I go to a game. So it's nice seeing like that a home run can actually happen, out of the park home run can actually happen
Oh yeah,
in
no,
this
I've
league.
seen
So
plenty of home runs standing on top of the pitcher's mound.
fair enough, fair enough. Okay. All right, and then just switch gears for a little bit for a second. Which team? Because we've obviously talked about the Senators, and the Spinners as well. But which team is the biggest threat to you guys repeating in the BMBL? Which team is the biggest threat to you guys repeating as 28 plus champions and why?
Yeah, it's a good question, and I don't want to take anything away from any team in the league. I know everybody, wants to win it. And there's a lot of talented guys across the whole league. There's a lot of good parity as well. But I will just say, as before, I think the Bombers are really the franchise that's got the most championships. They've got some incredible players. Dzubia, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, but I know that he actually played in the bigs and will catch bullpens for the Red Sox. So you're playing against like a big leaguer, and then the whole team, they can all go yard, and they're good hitters. So you really have to bring your A game when you're playing the Bombers and not make mistakes.
You mentioned this at the top of the show as well. That in addition to playing in Boston, you played for the Cincinnati Adult Baseball League, played some varsity baseball at Beechwood, club baseball at Miami University. Did you have a favorite memory from any of those times? Before you came to Boston, and how does that impact, or how did that impact your career going into Boston and now as well?
Yeah, well, it's my first year as a coach, so trying to find, what that feels like and how I like to communicate with my team and what the important messages to send are. So I certainly have to think about like my high school baseball coach, who I think, really shaped the way that I think about the game. He was an Italian guy who played in a men's league while he was coaching us and could absolutely rip the ball. But I mean, he had us with wooden paddles. He had us just swinging over and over and over and over again. Everything that I tell my guys is like probably comes from him or something, connected to those days, as well as just my experience throughout my time playing ball. You learn everything from just playing and being around other guys that bring that baseball knowledge. So Steve Barona, shout out to Steve. I tell my guys, try, mistakes are going to happen, but try to control the ones that you can control and don't make mental mistakes. So before each pitch, know what you're going to do with the ball. Don't get picked off. Don't allow a guy to take another extra base because you didn't hit the cutoff person. Like those are the sort of things. So I think a lot about um, Steve for sure. Um, I love playing ball as much as I can. Um, you know, I've got some good memories. I had a great game in the Field of Screams tournament. That's a fun tournament to play in. I remember we had to play the game with two outfielders because at that point one of our players went to the hospital, another player had left, and we're in the semifinals, and we got two outfielders, and I'm pitching one of the best games. We're playing the Boston Cardinals, who were a great team in the BNBL for a long time, and I was holding him, and we were up 4-3, and we had a guy on first base, and the guy smokes a line drive into the right field gap. It's going to be a double, but it hits the flock of geese out there. They prevent the ball from rolling all the way to the wall, and just buys our right fielder enough time to pick the ball up and throw the ball in. And the guy doesn't score, and then we got out of the inning, and we end up winning that game. So that's my favorite memory. I love pitching. I think I really probably throughout my whole career was trying to make it as a pitcher first and foremost, but now I'm really a great hitter and I love to play the field as well. But so I've got good memories. Winning the championship last year's gotta be the top. We played in the Cape Cod League, the Cape Cod tournament last year. That was a lot of fun. But probably the thing that I love the most about playing in Greater Boston is the 100 innings baseball game, where teams from all the leagues around here come and compete for 100 consecutive innings, and you spend a day and a half without sleeping next to everybody in your dugout and everybody that you're with, and there's just no other experience like it. Especially this last year, for the first time, I had the experience of pitching while it was dark out and continuing to pitch as the sun rose and the next day came. and that's just so surreal. So the 100 innings game is incredible. I think I made a documentary about it. I love everybody who's connected to that. Brett Rudy, Steve Lippy, who told me about the game, Angie, Zach, McGee, Pav, Eddie, Jono, everybody. Just incredible game to be a part of.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth because my next question was how, the documentary, now that you've done, it's what, been a year or 2 years?
Yeah, some like maybe two again, getting close to 2 years. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm just curious how, that's now impacted you on not only a personal level, making a documentary like that, but what it did to help raise awareness for such an important cause like this, because, obviously that game has a big impact on it. And so, just in your own words, how did it affect you personally? You kind of briefly talked about it just before I asked this question, but if you wanted to expand a little bit more, I'll give you the floor.
When I really put a lot of time into making a video production and going as far as to challenge myself and make an entire feature length documentary, that was my goal. You learn so much from listening to interviews and editing them. And if you interview the right people, you eventually find the story that's being told. But you connect with the people who are telling it. And so the biggest impact that a 100 innings game had on me is to actually build empathy inside of me in a real way for the people who are suffering from one of the worst diseases that you could imagine. I didn't know much about it. I did know that Lou Gehrig had it. It's incredible that probably the best baseball player to ever live, who played the most consecutive games ever, hit 4 home runs in a game. He had to walk away from baseball because the disease took his abilities away. And when you think about that, and you think that these people who have ALS don't have those abilities anymore, and they have to find a way to live and enjoy life. And then you think about, am I really going to play 100 straight innings and stay up the whole time and absolutely annihilate my body to do that? And it's like, yes, absolutely, I will because I can play. And what I told people at our showing, we showed the film at Salem Cinema with everybody who was connected to the cause. And what I told to the ball players who play in the game is like, hey, you know, tomorrow we're going to play in the 100 innings game again, and just think, as long as you're still able to play baseball, you should give it your 100% because we're all gonna have to away from the game one day, right? One day, your shoulder's gonna give out, your elbow's gonna give out, something's gonna happen, and you're not gonna be able to play. You're gonna have played your last game, and we all love baseball so much that nobody wants that, but everybody loves life, and then ALS takes so much of life away. But the community around this, which is the baseball community and the ALS community coming together. And this started with Kurt Schilling in 2004, with KALS. And if you remember the iconic shot of KALS that was written on his sock, the bloody sock, well, he was a big part of how the game originated. Brett Rudy and Mike Lembo from the BMBL began this cause that's been going on since over 20 years now consecutively. Um, and the community has raised near $1 million for ALS research, and it goes directly to the Angel Fund, which is led by Dr. Brown, a world renowned doctor who is very close to finding a breakthrough treatment for ALS. Dr. Brown has actually kept Walter Benson, who is the head assigner of the entire league, I think a few leagues. He's the person who makes sure that you have an umpire at your game, and he's the person who's going to hear about it if you say something to that umpire that you shouldn't have said. But Walter Benson has been living with a slow progressing version of ALS for, I believe, close to 20 years, and the treatments that he's gotten have prevented it from advancing to the point where he's been able to live all of this time. And every year we go and we see Walter, and I interviewed him, and I know him well. He's a good friend now. But then when you have friends who are, suffering, and then you meet all the people that you know and all the families that it's affected. It's a really a heartbreaking story. So to tell that story, though, I wanted to tell it the way that most baseball players experience it because it is such a joyous event where the community comes together and you spend all this time with your family in that dugout and you see Walter and you see Rat, Richard Kennedy, the president of the Angel Fund, who has ALS and has been battling it and getting treatment. He used to be a Boston Marathon runner. Now we have a marathon baseball game, in his honor, essentially. But telling the story, you have to talk about all the sad things, but when you go and play the game, everybody's smiling, everybody's happy, everyone has the absolute best attitude, including Walter and Rich and everyone who is there. No matter how many hours you've played, you keep going because it's so much fun. You're actually playing an entire season, in a day and a half. You get a season's worth of at bats. Where else can you do that? That's what Walter says. So to tell the story, I wanted people to feel like they were going into the dugout with their friends, and I kind of did tell it pretty much from my perspective in that group. And we charted the whole 100 innings together in that film, talking about ALS and Pete Frates and these incredible stories that are attached to it. Pete Frates is the one who discovered the Ice Bucket Challenge. He created that. He was a great baseball player at Boston College. And then he got ALS and started the Ice Bucket Challenge. He passed away. So you have to talk about the pain of that, but then the love of the people around you through this game has made it palatable and has raised so much funds and backed such good research that is actually keeping people alive. So it's a great game to be a part of. I'd encourage anyone watching this to go to the angelfund.org and donate to the Angel Fund, and you'll actually be helping continue to advance these incredible medical treatments that are so important for so many families. I think it'll be the team. We have a team. Everybody has a selfless attitude. They're able to play any position you ask them to on any given day. We make decisions together. We ride things out together. We never give up. So it's truly a team. In terms of the good players that you would maybe say, oh, that they could be the MVP. The all stars on our team right now, we've got Rich Kriskowski, who's our catcher. And the catcher I think is the most important position on the field. So Rich is back there, and he's a great hitter. He's batting 375, 10 RBIs, 9 hits, doing great. I'm having a very good year myself. I'm going as the other All Star, voted in by the team. Um, so I'm having a very good year at the plate. Pitching well. It's a fun league to compete in. It's hard to say like this guy, that guy, but I will say like catcher's most important, and then next to that, shortstop is most important. So Ian Pilkinen, um, he actually played some college ball and then was on the Cambridge Spinners before he had an arm injury, and we were lucky to pick him up when we created our team this year. And he's been absolutely vital to the team. I mean, anytime that you have a shortstop like that, that's just making anything up the middle and automatic out, that gives you a chance to compete every day. Alec Girardi, who's the brother of Dano Girardi from the Lowell Angels, is our center fielder, and he is an incredible defensive player. Made some great diving catches in a critical situation a few games ago. So to have that center of the field covered defensively, I think defense is what I put above everything else. If you're playing really good defense, then you've earned a spot in the lineup. Is kind of how I feel about how important defense is. And then obviously comes pitching, and we've got a lot of pitching. Everybody really worked hard in the offseason to get ready for the year, and it's paying off. Bosworth, I think he has an ERA under 1 or close, just hovering over it maybe. He's pitched a tremendous amount of innings. He is a starting center fielder on the Lowell Angels, and then on the Mill City Angels, he is our ace pitcher, and he's had a great year. He actually went 8 full innings. We had a game that went into extra innings against the Cardinals. They're a good ball club, and Bosworth was able to keep it at a one-run game. We were able to win that game. Stremple is also a guy who plays on the Lowell Angels, who would be, both those guys would be good for you to connect with. They play on both teams, and Stremp is a very good hitter. But what we also didn't know about Stremp, because the Lowell Angels has so many good pitchers that it's hard to get opportunities as a pitcher there. So Stremple is actually able to pitch on the Mill City Angels, and he's throwing absolute gas. I think he had 7 strikeouts the other day in 3 innings. Again, it goes back to having an organization. Those guys would never be pitching. The fact that they're pitching throughout the year, and they'll be very critical pieces for our playoff run on the Mill City team. But they may be able to be, great guys to bring out of the bullpen when the Lowell Angels make our run, which is a little bit later in the year.
Obviously, right now in the standings, the Havoc are ahead of you guys with a 9-0-1 record. So, how do you leapfrog them in the standings, and why are they such a tough team to beat?
Well, I have a lot of respect for the Havoc organization. This is Omar Ortiz. This is his franchise. He has had that franchise for a long, long time. He had a team for many years in the BMBL. They've won the championship in that league, and they were one of the top teams to beat there. So Omar has created a few leagues and really created a lot of baseball opportunities for people. So, that was great, and we wanted to support, the spirit of expanding the baseball network, and so we put our second team into that league. And the Havoc are, really one of the best teams in the league. I believe they have some guys on that team from the CHBL team. So, I believe that team won that league for the first time when they started that league last year. So, they're a good team. They've played together for a long time. Got a good coach in Rob Ferrand, although he's a very poor fantasy baseball player and makes really awful trades. Um, Wheeler for Keller and Bass. Isn't that like Wheeler, right, from the Phillies, won the Cy Young. So that was Rob's trade. But he's a really good men's league coach. That's probably why the Havoc are so good. But you know, all jokes aside, it's fun baseball. I will really enjoy competing against all of those guys over there. And we're just gonna give it everything that we have. And our goal is to win the championship.
Will Angels will repeat as champions because,
Because we play with heart like lions, and there are many lions on our team.
and then same question, but for the Mill City Angels, why will they become champions?
Mill City Angels become champions because we play with heart, use our head, and hustle. So we have some games coming up at Latcher Park. Hope you could share a link for everybody so that they could sign up. We have close to 100 people at the ballpark for first game, and we want to top that. It'll be a 50-50 raffle, so it's a lot of fun. Concession stands will be open. We're DJing the whole time. We play great music. It's a lot of fun, so come on out to that. Come on out to a game. It's a great way to spend a Sunday afternoon in the sun. You probably catch a foul ball. You might even say like, "Hey, I want to play." Maybe you could play. I'm in the garage here. I spend a lot of time in the winter when it's snowing, just hitting baseballs into my net. Love playing baseball. So every time I get to go out there, I have a good time. And if you have an inkling to get out there, maybe you want to play ball with us, give me a shout. We're always looking at adding guys for next year. But yeah, thank you, man. Thank you for the interview. I really appreciate being able to talk about the Angels organization and the 100 innings game. And everybody go donate to the angelfund.org and come to the 100 innings game. It'll be on Indigenous Days, People's Weekend in October. It's an experience like you would never have before. Come. We're always raising money before we play in the game. So if everybody could donate, to all the players who are going out there and giving it 100 innings, that would be great.